Ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, members. Welcome to this meeting of the Finance and Governance Committee at the Newton Lees Pavilion on the 17th of February 2026. I'm Keith Lee and I will be chairing this meeting. There's some housekeeping issues. The fire exits are at the front and at the rear of the building in here. The fire assembly points are in the car park at the front, and the toilets are located immediately behind me. Please could you turn off your mobile phones? I've got mine too, or put them on silent. We want everyone to be able to hear, so please respect whoever is speaking by not chatting amongst yourselves. Also, you should be aware that the meeting is recorded, and the recording may be streamed on our social media channels. I will now ask the members of this committee to introduce themselves, starting with Richard.
Richard Graham, Central Bletchley and Deputy Mayor.
Nathaniel Kelly Wilson, Town Councillor for Newton Lees and Mayor of Bletchley and Fenny Stratford.
Richard Susan, Councillor for South Eaton.
Councillor Ron Hine for Queen Ryan Dembino. Justin Cole from Northern today.
Matilda Fernandez, Councillor for Fenny Stratford and Vice Chair for the Finance and Governance Committee.
Right, and the officers?
Alison Brown, Finance Manager.
John Fairclough, Town Clerk.
That's it. Thank you all. Right, that's everyone accounted for. Thank you.
I did do that.
I did.
I had him.
Right, item 1, to note apologies for absence.
Yeah, we've had apologies on council.
Thank you. Item 2, to note councillors' declarations of interest on matters on the agenda. Are there any? Right, thank you, none. 3, to approve the draft minutes of this previous meeting of the committee. You've had them, page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. I'll sign those at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That's approved, Chair, yeah.
Sorry?
That's approved then.
Sorry, yes. Is that agreed?
Yes, agreed.
Approved, thank you. Item 4, public speaking time.
Chair, we have no representations from members of the public.
Item 5, to review and comment on any planning applications due to be reviewed by Milton Keynes City Council. To consider whether to submit an objection to an application for an adult gaming centre premises licence at 6971 Queensway, Bletchley. Anyone want to start off with this? If you, in your notes, you will have had a very, very extensive email from one of our members, Ishmael Hussain, and it's quite clear that he has gone into considerable detail onto what can and can't be done on objections on the gaming. And I would ask anyone that has what wishes to speak on this item.
For that item, I've taken a look on the gambling guidelines 2005, and everything is talking about. If you have time, you have to take a look on the page 10, which is item 2. It said that in applying condition and design application, MKCC will also have regard to any local area risk assessment in place. But in the application, I don't have any. I don't know what kind of risk assessment has been done for the MKCC. First of all, I think I have talked to some of the neighbors and residents in the area. First of all, the major concern is the social security. And everyone who's talking about, is there any comparison in figures, like those area with casino or any gaming center compared with the area without such facilities? What is the crime rate in between? And is there any data like this year, last year, or one more year for reference, so that they can see if any crime related to the gaming center or casino, they can make a reference, but there is no such data available. We can, even I go to the TVP database, they don't have indication to see the address which is related to this. This is first of all. Second thing, we cannot, I cannot have any assessment to see what kind of crime is related to that premises. So that in lack of data reference is quite hard to persuade the residents to accept additional gaming or casino facilities in the area. Furthermore, in Queensway, 124 number 124 and 140, there's already 2 gaming center or casino right there. So that means there's the 3rd gaming center in the area, which is very close together. So I think it's quite hard to persuade the resident. If lack of data reference is quite difficult to persuade the residents. They are confident to have controllable facilities like in this area. This is what I'm observed at the moment.
Okay. Anyone else wish to come in? Sorry, I missed you.
With regards to this case, I would like to bring to the attention that I am a very close resident to this area, okay, and I have seen high level of issues that have been taking place on Queensway, okay, maybe with regards to the gaming session or not, but also we have a lot of other outlets over there which are supplying alcohol, so a lot of people, and they are open also quite late. So with the fact that we already have other gaming sites on the street, I would not permit to have another gaming site because of the fact that there is continuous irregularities, I should call it, because I have seen the police patrols very regularly moving around. And since I'm a very close tenant to Queensway, they literally come around our side in the leisure centre and behind it. And I've had several cases where my own home had been fired in front of my house. My car would have been disrupted, okay? And we had huge situations. So I do not encourage another gaming centre in Queensway.
Thank you very much. Yeah, fine. Richard, you want to come in?
With regards to the, no, I mean, both councils have reiterated what we're all going to say about the amount of gaming establishments in our town centre. To have any more, I mean, from Ishmael's email, right at the bottom, it says about the cumulative harm that it can do to residents of our area that do gamble, and having more gambling, it just becomes the Vegas of Milton Keynes if we keep having more establishments in the area. We've got to be able to think to ourselves to protect members of the public. I think the bookies, there's 2 or 3 in the town centre. We've got slot machines. I think there's two already in the area. 2 or 3. Again, do we need another one? I don't think so.
Okay, Richard.
All right, the application is for 24/7 licence.
Yeah.
Do any of the other the other 2 similar facilities, they have 24/7?
Can't tell you, sorry, don't know.
I don't, as far as I know, they don't, because that too seems to me a major objection in that, especially like some people like to have a bet usually there's closing time, you leave, but the 24/7 nature, that encourages kind of like a compulsive, continuation. So I don't think per se there's anything wrong with having a lighthouse at best, but when it's, an environment where it's 24/7, there's no facility whatsoever where at any time of the day where it's over. But then probably more importantly to the residents, because that's down to the individual, but for the residents, that means a continuous potential disturbance. Even if the door is slammed at 3 in the morning, that's going to wake everybody up. Whereas during the day, it's not going to be really noticeable. So I'll take that into consideration.
Thank you, Richard.
I think that anything that we decide obviously has to be aligned to the 4 licensing objectives, which are prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance, and protection of children from harm. I actually have a number of concerns about this. I do know that it's become the norm in licensing now just to apply for a 24-hour license for everybody, but they often don't trade like that because but they do it so they can if they feel there's a need. But one of the issues that I would have is with the clustering of the 3 is actually for children, it normalises gambling or normalises slot machines as in a high street, and there would be more slot machines in the street than there would be newspapers or magazines or books, and I kind of find that particularly worrying. I think the fact that there are multiple providers of the same thing, it's going to draw more people, and potentially they are going to go from one to the other. So I think that the potential for harm is raised. I think if you actually look at the Milton Keynes City Council's actual own policy, it actually suggests that having multiple sites in close proximity to each other is not a good thing for that very reason. So on the basis of prevention of crime and disorder, and prevention of children from harm, protection of children from harm, I think that we should be stating that we do not, believe that there is a need or desire, and actually the harm can only be increased by having an additional one.
Richard,
Just wanted to add a little bit more to this subject, where Milton Keynes have got a big casino, massive casino. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Milton Keynes Casino have got a lot of controls in place. They've got a lot of safeguarding in place. They've got a lot of security in place and CCTV cameras, door staff. They've got a lot of registrations to come into the venue and stuff like that. There's a lot of controls in place, but it doesn't stop trouble. Yeah. It doesn't stop antisocial behaviour, and it doesn't stop harming people from gambling. But they've got we've got a massive casino up in central Milton Keynes. If anybody wants to really carry on, we don't want it in our town centre, is what we're trying to say. There's a massive casino up in central Milton Keynes. If people want to really gamble, they can go there where there's lots of controls in place.
Yeah, I would add that. I do think if it's up, my imagination
Especially if it's
a bit smaller, and then it would be impossible to have the same kind of round-the-clock security measures. I mean, there was a note of impact on children. I noticed it's actually an adult gaming thing, but then there's a potential of people still getting in. But more importantly, it's well known and scientifically proven that young people, say 18, I can't remember the exact age, but say 18 to 25, they're much more susceptible to, the mind is much more susceptible, and I'm sure everyone remembers themselves, for sort of negative influences or just doing something like. But it can bring people who do have an addictive personality, or it's addictive by its nature, by the fact it was said that it's they're applying for that. Oh well, we might not use it, but then if they do, if they do use it as 24/7, you've got no comeback because you've already agreed to it.
thank you. Can I just check? Go on.
Yeah, well, I know a fair bit about the gambling industry. They have to abide by gambling regulations. So, the regulations state, and they're really tough now, that if you're on a machine for a certain amount of time, once you put £500 in, the people are supposed to walk up to you and say, please take a break. If you choose not to, that's up to you. But then they will photograph you and they will put on their computer, they've asked you to take a break. Then they watch your body language. And they watch you, and they watch you and watch you. And they're watching how much you're losing. And then they come back and ask you again. Till you get to a certain amount, and then they say, sorry, got to stop you, you've lost X amount of pounds. We'd like to come off the machines now. See, under the rules and regulations, that's how they try and stop under safer gambling. Then they do affordability checks. So if you're a regular, they ask you to do an affordability check. And then you have to show your bank accounts. If you choose not to do it, you're not allowed in. If you're under the influence of drink, you're not allowed in. If you're under the influence of drugs, you're not allowed in. So there are a lot of safeguards, but I agree with Ethan about safeguard for children and things like that. But obviously, people are adults, they should know whether they've lost, you know.
It's an addiction.
And there was a bad thing that happened in one of the shops. A guy lost £20,000 a few years back, went home and killed himself. And that was in one of our shops in Bletchley and Fenny, Stratford. So the law has changed to stop that, but I feel having three together, we don't get antisocial behaviour with it. Well, I see in Bletchley all the time because I'm there. I've not seen no trouble at all. The drinking, just normally during the day, night times, I'm out at 10 o'clock every Saturday night because I'm watching a building for the licensing anyway, and I haven't wanted to be pointed totally dead. So all you're going to get are the people that just go round the three shops. 2 o'clock in the morning, and then places are busy. 10 o'clock in the morning, there's no one in there. So as I say, you know, we don't really need it, and we don't really want it. But as I say, there are safeguards that people don't understand about gambling.
Thank you, Ron.
It was sorry,
But just one minute.
Yeah, go on.
I'm going to come in.
Go on, sorry.
Just about has everyone seen the email from Ishmael?
Yes.
We have.
Yeah.
Right, because that, to me, is one of the most comprehensive objections to a gaming licence I think I've ever seen. And it mentions and assesses all the points that everyone has made. And I think that there are many points within this that can be used as our actual objection. Now, would it be helpful if I went, having gone through this in fair bit of detail, listing our objections? Would that be helpful? Richard, now you want to come in?
just one slight one, was just saying there is restrictions on gambling, but you can just go from one, especially one shop to another. And people, you know, it's as well, 20,000 to one person, you know, might be put them over the limit. Well, I think now 500 to some people, that's enough to, you know, it's just a bit.
I was going to say on top of that, Chair, you've got all the pubs and bars, and you've got all the clubs that have got slot machines and gaming machines in them as well. How do you, if you come out of one shop and go into another shop, and then he then decides to go into a pub, starts gambling again, who's going to regulate that? You just can't. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Can I read what I think can be objects? What I'll do, then I'll give this to Alison.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
That you can pick up then, but you make objections or changes as we go through. The first one that comes up is Milton Keynes City Council's Statement of Gambling Principles makes clear that applications must be assessed against local risk factors and the need to protect vulnerable persons, including those with gambling dependencies. As outlined in the council's local area profile, the presence of multiple gambling premises in the vicinity is identified as a specific risk factor due to the potential link to increased levels of gambling related harm. In my view, this represents an over concentration of gambling uses in a confined town centre high street location. He then lists several specific areas, which is facilities in proximity to the licensed premises, such as banks, post offices, relevant and entertainment type facilities. Other gambling premises, given the potential risk to increased level of gambling harm where there are multiple gambling premises in a vicinity. That's what we've been talking about. Other local specific issues, the demographics of the area in relation to the vulnerable groups, including areas of income deprivation. We are one of the lowest in Milton Keynes. Whether the premises are in an area subject to high levels of crime and or disorder. We are. Known problems in the area, such as issues arising from street drinkers, participating in antisocial behaviour, drug dealing activities, locations of or a customer base likely to include individuals with a prediction to gambling. He then goes on to highlight the council's highlight the importance of considering the demographics of the area, including income deprivation, and whether premises are located in areas subject to the higher levels of crime, disorder, or known problem areas such as antisocial behaviour. Paragraphs 1, J and K. Queensway exhibits a number of these characteristics, increasing the likelihood that vulnerable persons will be exposed to gambling related harm. Yep. Taking your point there, Justin, the local area profile does not designate specific streets, but it explicitly states that geographical locations of high risk may be unsuitable for licenses, and then defines high risk locations by references to factors including gambling premises in close proximity, income deprivation, and areas experiencing crime and antisocial behaviour. Queensway meets several of these criteria. It then goes on to highlight the area of the last 12 months of the crimes and the type of crime that's been happening in Queensway. And Ishmael then goes on, lastly, it is important to consider the potential impact on the character and vitality of our high street. The concentration of multiple gambling establishments within a relatively small area contributes to an environment that may compromise the overall well-being of the community, particularly for families, young people, and vulnerable individuals. Such clustering risks normalising gambling activity, potentially increasing exposure to financial harm and the associated social issues. Beyond this, the presence of betting shops and adult gaming centres can have a negative effect on the town centre's reputation and image, undermining efforts to attract diverse businesses and footfall for non-gambling commercial activity. A thriving high street benefits from a balance of services and amenities, and the over-concentration of gambling premises threatens that balance, reducing the attractiveness of the area as a safe, welcoming and diverse place for residents and visitors alike. They are the basis of these objections. And I would suggest, and I'm prepared to propose, that they are the objections, the reasons and the basis of our objections to this gambling licence application.
Because it's right next to a bookies.
And it's next door to one.
Right opposite the other one.
Yeah. But anyway, that's, I'll throw it open, Ethan.
I'd just like to amend the proposal so that a member of this committee, I'm happy to do it if somebody else wants to do it. We request that if the matter is considered at committee rather than by an officer, that we would like to go to the committee and speak to the committee and against the application.
Yep.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
can I have that?
okay, yeah.
So we're saying we wish to
all of the above, plus,
But we need to,
if the matter is to be decided by committee, licensing committee, then a member of this committee should be able to attend and speak against the proposal, or the proposed licence.
certainly do a comprehensive
Yeah,
response.
yeah. Okay.
Justin, if Ethan goes, you'll have to say you're the mayor because someone objected me once to objecting, that I was objecting to a licence. And they said, you don't live within this vicinity. I said, no, I'm representing the people. And he said, how do I know that? So I had to get the paperwork out to show I was elected. So if it's a big.
I think if it's organised with the town council,
Yeah.
because there is actually a process,
Yeah.
and normally what they do is, if it needs to be submitted by the clerk or the deputy clerk,
Yeah.
and so that will be the case.
Look into that.
Justin.
I want to remind, when I have to go through the gambling policy 2005, I mean the whole paper, because the whole paper only mentioned the role and responsibility of MKCC, but haven't specifically mentioned the role for the parish council or town council. So I need to remind that point. And the second thing is from that policy, page 21, 16.3, it mentioned that MKCC recognized that low-level disorder can occur at or outside particular premises because of the license in place. Therefore, it recommends that an applicant put in place such control measures considered proportionate to the prevent and minimize such issues. That means anything happens, it just recommend the applicant to do some precaution or to minimize it. But it seems there's no specific something to done or what do you mean by low-level disorder? Is something missing in the guidelines?
Can I just argue just against that one point? And that is that if we accept that, and say that we expect the applicant to put these high-level security measures in, it would almost means that we accept that they're going to approve it. Now, we're going to object to it on the basis that we don't want it at all.
No.
It doesn't matter about controls, anything. We don't want it.
Because I'm just afraid.
Hang on, a minute, Richard. Go on.
Because I'm just afraid the applicant will make argument on certain points to object our objection.
Come on, Richard.
I'm sorry, because I'm just doubt the applicant will stick to this point to argue on our objection. That's why I have to remind on this point.
Yeah. Okay, Richard.
I'm fine.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to shoot you one there. Right, is there a second to that?
I'll say no.
Thank you. Those in favour of the
Objection.
that's unanimous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I've got a copy.
I've got it.
It's all right. I'll take you.
Right, thank you. Thank you for that, members. Item 6. To review and note the financial management information report showing income and expenditure against budget for the year to the 31st of January 2026.
Yes, yeah, I would just like to point out, I won't go through it in detail, but obviously we are looking at another underspend this year, for very much the same reasons as last year, where delay in the Sycamore building project has meant we still have substantial cash balances, more interest has been generated, and we're obviously not paying back the PWLB loan as yet. So that is, it's about 90,000 of the spend. So just to make answers as well. So.
Okay. Noted. Thank you.
Okay.
Item 7, to review and note cash and investment reconciliations to the 31st of January 2026.
Nothing to add, Chair.
Any comments to note? Thank you. Item 8, to review and note the council's balance sheet as at the 31st of January 2026. Any comments from any members? No?
I've got nothing to add, no.
Thank you, Alison. That's noted. And item 9, to ratify a list of payments made or due to be made to the 28th of February 2026. Well, I've got a question. I didn't see any payments to our contractor on Sycamore Hall.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's been missed off this one because of the time when the reports were generated. We have actually made the first contractual payment to SMD. It was about 25,000. So, but that is purely based, obviously, we had an architect certification that the work had been done and it was appropriate with us to be a staged invoice.
I think I signed it on Friday.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it potentially will be picked up in next month's reports, but I just wanted to make you all aware. So,
right, thank you.
so that payments are ratified.
Noted, yeah, ratified, approved. Yeah. Item 10, schedule of accounts to be paid by direct debit during the financial year 26-27.
Yeah. So obviously the schedule in front of you in the pack. There's been several direct debits set up over the course of the year. The two highlighted in yellow now, the mandates have just been signed. They are for SUIs, which is the providers of our refuse collection at Newton Lees Pavilion and Fenny Stratford Community Centre. As you can see, mainly all the suppliers on the direct debit listing are utilities and the payroll, of course. So,
Right.
Okay, so that's for
To note,
to approve.
to approve.
Well, effectively, they've already been approved. Really, perhaps it's to note.
It's to note.
To note.
Item 11, to approve the disposal of assets. Over to you, Alison.
Yeah, it's a very small report. I was hoping to have, not hoping to have more assets to dispose of. Obviously, we've got an item of equipment to do with landscaping that's not fit for purpose now. And unfortunately, there was a theft of a laptop, which we have subsequently put in an insurance claim for. There is later on in the agenda, we talked, which was ratified to purchase the account. Officers have actually just taken delivery of new laptops. So there is old laptops still to dispose of, but they're not on the spreadsheet yet because I haven't been able to identify which ones we are going to dispose of, which we'd potentially keep. So, and there are other items that when we come to review the asset register at the end of the year, it'll probably be highlighted there.
So we approve the disposal. Richard?
When you're talking about disposing of laptops, what do you actually mean disposing?
Um,
Throw them in the bin?
No. Actually, the clerk might be able to answer this because I think we have actually, well, previously we have actually contracted with a supplier who actually did the proper disposal, the
disposal hard drives
hard data.
yeah, data,
Right.
right. So there's a company we used last time for the old laptops that
data
were really old.
And it costs money,
Years.
it costs money.
Yeah, but the idea is, I mean, we'd probably, because they are, you know, they're not fit for purpose anymore. However, we might keep a couple just as spares. Like for instance, when we had someone had theirs stolen, we quickly got a laptop back up and running.
I was just thinking, it depends on how many laptops that are there, whether they'd be useful for anybody in the community once they've been wiped.
Well, there is.
A computer is still a computer, and a computer can be, I mean, obviously the computers are high spec computers.
There is for that, yeah.
When I'm talking about low level work for people in the community, that's not going to do as high spec work on the computer, so they don't need that much data going through it, and it doesn't need that much memory space. Can that be repurposed?
We can look into that. We can take. Why don't we take that away, because it has come up.
Yeah.
You know, that's
If it's a donation, it's a donation to, you know, a cause or a charity or something, a start-up. You've got plenty of start-up businesses that probably need laptops and computers. Could it be something that we could do as a council, instead of just getting rid of them, it can be repurposed?
We could give it to the library. I mean, they could use it.
okay. You can have a look into it, come up with some ideas, and then.
Yeah.
And it depends on the nature. My laptop was not fit for purpose.
Yeah, well-
It get dropping out, yeah.
The really bad ones. we
Not
probably
as
look
bad
at
as some of the laptops, but yeah.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
I'll make a note of
So
that.
we approve the disposal?
Only one question.
Justin?
John, if those laptop have to donate it to some parties because the hard drive has been taken out, so that means we need to replace another hard drive inside.
Well, we can get, we don't have to take them out, we can get them wiped and, you know, professionally wiped, so.
Let them have the laptop, which is without the hard drives, so that is minimize our cost, because if we put another drive, put another window license inside, is another cost. But if we donate the machine to them without the hard drive, then they figure out what else they put it in and let them do it, but that's why it's minimize the cost.
They would just wipe the hard drive, because the hard drive is hardware rather than software. You can just take everything off it and.
That is my
It's
question.
kind of a factory reset,
Also, just a minute. Cecilia, put her hand up half an hour ago.
So nobody removes the hard drive from any computers. If you're going to wipe it off, reboot it, it's going to go to original factory settings, and that's what you would give it back to, whatever. But you don't take any part out of the machine, because then it's useless. So put another one in.
Right. So do we approve the routes of the disposal of assets? Agreed? Agreed, thank you.
And I'll make a note about,
Reuse.
reuse, yeah.
12, to review the effectiveness of internal audit.
Obviously, this is something that we do every year as a smaller authority. You know, we have to ensure that we have an effective internal audit to evaluate the risk of management, compliance, in terms of control and governance processes. So we review this. This is basically the internal audit work on the members' behalf. So they're ensuring that there's appropriate internal controls applied throughout the year. So if you want to, you know, we need input from members to make sure that they're doing what you require them to do. There's also, I've added something to do with making sure that we comply with the current assertion 10 now that will be on the AGAR for 25-26, which is all to do with digital compliance. And I know the retiring clerk mentioned this at the last full council. You know, it's to ensure that, you know, we're compliant with data protection. We're using appropriate email accounts. Our website must comply with certain standards, and it's about kind of a holistic approach to data management as well. That's why we're getting Cyber Essentials. So,
Okay, so we are,
you know, I would like, you know, if we can have some more input from members, just what you want the internal audit to look at, be appropriate, you know, tying in with that. I'd just like to mention, you know, that if members do need any additional training to aid this analysis, you know, I did an email. I'm quite willing to sit down with councillors and talk on a one-to-one basis, or do some group training sessions.
Last year, the internal audit was pretty good. Last year.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, you know, all the stuff we talked about last year is in this one.
Yeah.
And more.
And more, yeah.
And I think that really and truly that councillors should pick up on that if they want it, but it's there in place if they need it. And so, you know, the controls that we've got in place already, internal wise, if you haven't had any feedback from councillors,
No, I know.
I'm just trying to say,
But regulations change all the time,
Yeah.
so.
But all the training and one-to-ones and stuff that you said last year, that's all in place this year. You know, I think that, you know, councillors should pick up on the fact that, you know, the officers are there for councillors to go and get trained. But unfortunately, they don't.
right,
Yeah.
so
I think it's good.
we reviewed that, thank you very much, members. Item 13, to approve the appointment.
So, sorry, Chair, that goes now to full council for approval.
Does it?
Yeah.
Right, okay,
Reviewed and.
so recommended approval to full council
Yeah.
from us, is that agreed?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Item 13, to approve the appointment of the internal auditor for 26-27. Alison.
Yes, Chair. Obviously, I've done a small report. We did, in the autumn of 2023, we did a procurement exercise. Unfortunately, there was limited providers of internal audit function within the public sector. and actually, I think we had 2 or 3 quotes. Auditing Solutions, who we've been using for years, they provided the best quote, and I propose to use them again for the financial year 26-27. But, and that's what I'd like approval from yourselves. I will note that we will look to procure again in autumn this coming year, because potentially we may not have Alternative Solutions as a provider for internal audit services, so we have to look elsewhere. And we won't be the only council in that position.
Is there any reason for that change?
I believe the company directors are wanting to either wind up the company or retire it. Potentially some of the internal auditors may take it on a private basis, but I don't know.
So,
But I know West Bletchley will be in a similar position to us.
Right, so we're asked to approve the appointment. Those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Item 14, to ratify the purchase of replacement officer laptops. 14. We talked just a little while ago in the meeting, they have been purchased and they've been issued.
Yeah, yes, purely just to ratify, make you all aware that the purchase was approved by the mayor and the chair of finance.
If you don't ratify, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
The mayor will resign.
I quite like my laptop, so I like it back.
Unfortunately, we were on a very short timescale. The laptops were giving out pretty quickly. We needed, obviously, a new laptop in place for the deputy clerk.
And they've been like 3.5 years, so.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So we approve, yes?
Well, we're ratifying the decision.
Yes, I was just going to say, like, obviously, Chair, we exchanged emails with the clerk, and I think in business, it's quite common to have a policy that an asset like this will be kept for 3 or 4 years. I think in my day job, we keep them for 4 years. I think that it would be prudent for us to actually say that we're going to replace again in 2030 or 2029, and we actually build it into the medium-term financial plan, so that we know that this is coming up, and then actually we are knowing when we're going to replace them. So I think I'm happy with either 3 or 4 years. I think technology moves so quickly today that actually after, I think I would say that actually I've had people complaining about their laptop for at least a year. Because I know I said to Delia about a year ago, just get a new laptop. So I think maybe we should make that decision tonight, and just become policy.
Right. Oh, yeah, I think it's good. Thank you, Ethan. It's good. Well, can I suggest 4 years? If in fact something's going on before that, we can easily come back. But there's a policy, we'll go try for 4 years. Richard?
No, I was going to say 3 years.
Well, blow you.
We'll go 3.5.
Well,
Take a couple of years.
Well, I'm not.
like people said, technology is moving at such a rapid rate. If you think about replacing it in 4 years, it's actually a long time.
it depends as well. So if you say, I got a fairly high grade laptop 8 years ago, and it's still barely, goes fairly well, but of course you've got to pay double for that. And so I would have thought, if you're getting a mid-range one, I would have thought 4 years, seeing as you've got updates and people, so the problems can pair. Then if one goes completely, you can always replace it individually.
So with that amendment that Ethan put forward of 4 years, so we ratify the replacement and agree a four-year replacement programme.
Yeah, I would second that.
Sorry, Pete, I think I missed you there again.
Sorry, I'm just seconding what Ethan just said.
Right, it's seconded. Those in favour? Okay, that's unanimous. Item 15, to ratify the contract for the hire of the football pitches at Newton Leeds Pavilion.
Yes, Chair. So obviously the environment and premises manager has been working on this, and this agreement originally, I believe, went to Environment and Community Committee with reduced income. And he was requested to go back to the football club and see if he could generate some more income, and he has successfully done that. So it's quite a substantial improvement on the original budget. Moving forward, it's a 5-year agreement. It's already been kind of
With the break clause at 3.
with break clause at 3.
I've just got one question regarding that.
Yeah.
Because I noticed the sign on the football ground. And I just noticed, you know, as a council facility, and it just seems, not that it's a reason for objection, but it just seems that it's just restricted to just one football club, is my understanding. And to the exclusion of others.
We did originally tender for it.
Yeah,
Southampton Football Club put in the best tender. There was some controversy, I believe, at the time, but we felt it was in the best interest as a council and the taxpayer to go with one football club.
Yeah, we did try to encourage the football team to promote participants from our parish area, and in particular Newton Leeds. But it was more particularly the whole parish area.
yeah.
And they have, I think they attempted to do, or made some progress towards it. Whether they finally achieved it.
Yeah, I mean, I do, the surf is particularly good, and I thought the only trouble with grass is, of course, it's got a limit to how much you can take, so if you just owned it up to everybody, then it wouldn't probably be fit for playing a match on, so.
Anyone can use the facility, but it's only one football club that can actually use it as a football pitch.
Ah, right, so can anybody, if somebody was going running around it,
Yeah.
something, right, that.
Yeah, it is open,
Yeah.
but obviously we wouldn't expect members of the public to be running across the football pitch while there's a match in progress.
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay.
This with you, mate.
Yeah.
No, Ethan, I was just going to say, I was at the meeting and actually I think the environmental premises manager has done everything that we asked him to do.
Yeah.
Originally, they wanted to, they were going to offer more, but we would still be making a loss. With this new agreement from year one, we actually are getting more than it costs us to maintain the pitches. And we are, I think from year 3, we are locking the price, so we will raise it to 15,000. It currently costs about 12 to actually maintain it.
Yeah, just over 12.
So from year 3, we'll actually be locking it to consumer price index +1, which is what we have done with the allotments. So I think that we are, to answer kind of your point, one of the reasons that the councillors felt they had to do this is because we didn't want to, we wanted to limit the precept raise based on it, because actually, if you don't make enough money on the football, then people who perhaps don't enjoy football are subsidising the footballers with kind of every game. So that was really, really well.
Can I have that in writing?
That's a important decision.
Can I have that in writing?
I'll type it for you now.
It's recorded.
Dog bins?
Oh, no.
Profit on dog, yeah, right. No, yeah, my apologies. Right, so to ratify, so did we agree?
Yeah, because that was the agreement that when they took it, the time to come, it wouldn't cost us, and that was the agreement way back then.
Yeah. Right, so we've ratified that contract.
Agreed.
Item 16, to review the following policies for recommendation to full council. 1, to review and approve the adoption of a supplier code of conduct. Right.
Yeah, I mean to just.
Yes, please.
I've not been actually directly involved with preparing this document or report, but my understanding is that it's more in respect of suppliers we engage with at our events, particular stall holders. We don't actually have any kind of terms and conditions. We ask them for their public liability, but what we're doing is trying to engage them and ensure that they are following proper process in terms of their employment, their health and safety, professional standards and conflicts of interest. So that's what's in the draft policy. We're asking them to sign up with it in terms to ensure to complete the hire agreement. It's specifically for, at the moment, suppliers we engage with and events.
Go on, Richard, yeah.
I'm just going to bring something to the table regarding that. And that's something that's going to be coming in because some of our events are over 1,000 people, 2,000 people, could be 3,000, 4,000 people. What we've got to consider is Martin's Law that will be coming in at some point in time. And regarding security arrangements and stuff, it's why I'm working with this all the time. We as a council will have to consider Martin's Law for some of our events, and it should be hopefully within this code of conduct that all suppliers should
have an understanding,
check and double check their equipment and make sure that their surroundings is what I call counter-terrorism free. So that then the security company that does the security on the day will be walking around, checking and making sure that there's no suspicious packages and stuff like that, because these big events could, you know, have some sort of antisocial behaviour where it could come down to counter-terrorism, and it's stuff that this council has to pick up at some point in time. We have to have a policy in place so that if we do have an external contractor or stall holder, that they understand what the policy and procedures of this council is going to be.
Yeah.
So
I think this is what it's trying to address.
Yeah. So we need to add that into the equation.
Yeah. Okay. I'll specifically Martin's Law then.
Can I just give just an alternative opinion, if you like, at the moment? And that is that when you look at this, all of it is law, current law. So why are we making them sign up to what is already the law of the land? There are other laws, I'm sure, of the land that would apply or could apply to our events, which we haven't listed, but we would still expect a supplier to adhere to. And I'm never in favour of introducing what I see as meaning this codes when those codes are already enshrined in law. Ethan.
I think it's there's a lot of legislation where, you know, that is expressed, so written down and available, and there is lots of law in this country that is implied. You know, like so for instance, you know, one piece of, you know, implied legislation is, you know, it is noted that everybody should have fidelity to their employer, you know, i.e. they should act in the best interest of their employer all the time. They don't always. People need reminding. I actually think it is good practice to say, you know, this may well be law, but these are our expectations. And I think it is easier to actually have a conversation with a supplier and say, that document that you signed, our code of conduct, which does go with the law, actually, rather than argue the various bits of various laws, to say, actually, you're not acting in accordance with our code of conduct, therefore, you're not supporting the law. I think it's a good thing to bring all of these points together in one document.
I think so as well, because if it ever came to a question of liability, you'd you know, you've covered yourself, and I think it's a combination of people do need a quick reminder, even if it's just a waiver form, something that's signed, but something where the liability is with them to follow the law, soon as we could be seen to be, you know, say, you know, if it was a company, you've got lots of divisions, you have some, you don't want to make it too complicated, but just some waiver that they're agreeing to go to our terms and conditions if it's not in place already.
Chair, I was going to express that point about public liability and making sure the right and left arm knows what it's doing. The council needs to be able to protect itself at some point in time where we can't slap people that are not adhering to rules and regulations. It shouldn't be our fault because we've got our processes in place, we've got our public liability in place. If someone came with some faulty equipment, is that our fault or is it their fault? And we would have expressed that within inside our code of conduct. And that's the whole reason for it. adding Martin's Law is going to be a necessity moving forward.
Yeah, I'm making.
And I do this with a lot of different people that I work for, different event organisers, and I do flag for Milton Keynes, Oxford, Bedfordshire, and that is a must. So moving forward, we have to bring ourselves up to speed at some point in time.
Okay, well, as I say, I still am not in favour of it, but if we are going to approve this tonight, what I thought was this, was that I thought it applied its supplier code of conduct to all our suppliers. Now it doesn't. I believe we're saying it applies to the suppliers who attend our events. But we don't say that in the document. And if you're going to approve it, I think you should at least say that. Ethan?
I agree with your point. I think that the reason that we probably do so when you're dealing with somebody like FMD who are our contractor for the building, they actually have one part of the procurement process. They've had to provide the policies on how they have a code of conduct. With these event traders, they're very often very small businesses, you know, micro businesses, one person bands, and I think we have to be even more clear to them. But I have no objection to what you said, which is that we should add something, and you know, at least I think it will allow us to road test it, and we can decide whether it could be rolled out wider. So,
Chair, do we want to title the document Supplier Code of Conduct specifically in relation to suppliers at our public events?
Well, something to that effect.
Yeah. Okay, and include Martin's Law within it? I don't believe it's mentioned specifically.
Could someone remind me what Martin's Law is?
It's to do with terrorism.
Martin was somebody who was killed at the Manchester Arena.
Right.
And the actual law is the Terrorism Protection of Premises Act 2025.
I'm just checking about the term supplier. Would possibly vendor be better, because in the it's not quite a supplier.
They're not necessarily all. I think it is specifically for vendors, really, isn't it?
Well, this has come about because we've had some incidents at events where suppliers or vendors or have had incidents with residents. That's why it's come about.
Yeah.
I think event vendor policy, event vendor.
Cool, that's enough. Event vendor.
I've got some policy that I've put through a risk assessment for an event down in Luton. So I've got some wording. Martin's Law really is anything under, I think, 800 people, then you should have some policies in place to do with counter-terrorism. Anything over 800 people, then you need somebody that's specifically in charge of counter-terrorism. So that you've got some sort of policies, and it's like having a first aider or somebody that's a fire marshal. You've got someone that does counter-terrorism.
Right, okay.
It's like a health and safety person.
Yeah.
That's actually specifically.
We have
to do this.
Sorry, we have the proposal with those two amendments. Those in favour of the document? Those against? That's carried. Item 17, to receive a premises report and consider any recommendations therein for expenditure on building maintenance or repair.
Yes, Chair, there's no decisions to be made on this. It's really just a report, and it's fairly all positive news all round. You know, obviously the solar panels, it took a long time to get the smart export guarantee sorted, but we're finally going to hopefully get our first payment back from the solar panels on the 3rd of March. I will report back to the committee when I actually know the amount. But actually, just to highlight, we did do a graph showing the actual consumption kilowatt hours at Newton Lee's Pavilion, and as you can see, the orange line for this year is substantially lower than the blue line for the previous year. There was a blip back in October, November when the boiler broke in this building. We had to actually bring some very expensive heaters into the building, but we to ensure the building was heated. So that's positive. And also obviously the EV chargers, the usage is picking up. They seem to be popular, very worthwhile.
The EV chargers.
Yeah.
That has been used more since we've had the new ones installed than they were ever used for the last 5 years.
Really?
So like in less than a year, they've been used more than they were actually used in 5 years. And I think that's what it's got to do with is they are more powerful than the ones that were there before.
Faster charging.
What are they?
So the big one is 50.
50?
Yeah.
Oh,
Do we get any?
No, we don't, not at the moment.
What was I going to say?
Return on rent. No, we don't. Eventually, I believe, I think it's after about 10 or 20 years, I can't remember the element of the
So
contract.
my understanding is that because I was party to the petition.
Yeah.
Once the investment, so
It's paid back,
once the
yeah.
investment is paid back of the building works, then we are on a profit share.
Yeah,
But we decided to go for an option where it did not cost us a single penny, and the company took the risk on everything. So, I think it's cost us nothing, and we're going to get something eventually.
eventually,
Yeah.
but we won't.
But the fact that it's actually being used more than it was before means we're quicker to.
Absolutely positive. And then just on kind of maintenance issues, obviously we've had some small repairs done to Sycamore House roof. And also we've had the cyclical painting of Fenny Community Centre and obviously this building as well. Obviously we had some of the painters in this week because it's half term and they've finished off the work. So and that's about it.
So to note the report, thank you. Then the last item 18, to receive an update on the Sycamore building project. I haven't read this yet, but are we all ready, or do we want a couple of minutes? There's some things that we
Yeah, obviously the
Has there been any issues?
some small issues to do with drainage, but they're all being dealt with. It was no surprise that there was going to be issues. It's an old building.
Found it well.
You know, what
It's all being dealt with.
yeah, what I might think is, when you take the plaster, and things start crumbling. Is there any adverse things that we didn't know about?
No, I think we knew there was no foundations for the house.
Yeah, well,
so,
we knew that. And no damp course, we knew that.
yeah,
But
so,
has there been
but
any
no.
major?
And it's been, actually, as an officer working in the house, it's been very easy to work. They've been very accommodating and it's been no hassle, is it? So,
No, there's a site meeting on the 24th, which we know is happening, which I'll attend as well. And then after that, we'll arrange a steering group meeting to go through, because I think there's going to be some decisions that need to be made after that meeting. I think, like I said, they've found some small bits and pieces that might need some small costings on, but I think we're just waiting for that. But I think we'll know more after the 24th.
yeah, but I think the project consultant did want some clarity over 0.5. I don't know when the chair of this committee, sorry?
3 and 5, isn't it?
As far as I'm aware, it's just the toilets.
Just the toilets. So,
3 of the park.
well, we haven't.
That's been looked into,
Yeah.
3, we need to make a decision, don't we?
No, I think they're looking into the path outside the house.
Yeah.
We're waiting for more information about getting that work, the path leading up to is getting costings for that. Then there might be a decision at a later date, but for now, I don't think there's nothing to decide on it at the moment.
I think 0.5 is just how we move forward, before we make any costings, so 0.5.
So on 0.5, the basic point is in the men's urinal, men's toilet. Do we keep the urinals or do we make it a fully cubicle site? My own view is to keep the urinals, but that's a point, and leave the cubicles as they are. Any further comments? Ethan?
I don't agree. So I think that I think most modern places now, like here, has got no urinals, and I think that for a number of reasons and a number of bits of legislation, I think it's better for them to be individual cubicles that people go into and shut the door behind them, and I totally accept that urinals are probably more convenient, but I think that I would advocate that actually privacy and dignity is probably better than convenience. And also they're easier to clean.
And also, in the public future, you'll probably find all toilets that become unisex, so you'll have to drag all them out and put in cubicles anyway, so we might as well do it at the outset and have done.
What's the cost for a blended model?
Sorry?
A blended model? You want more cubicles than the urinals, but
That's already in the spec.
Yeah, that's
At
already-
the moment, it's urinals and cubicles so it's male and female, urinals and cubicles in the male, and the question here is, do you want the both toilets just have cubicles in? Then there's a particular variation.
Would there be children also using the building on occasion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very mixed age group
I've noticed-
and a very culturally diverse
I've
group.
I've noticed in schools, they tend to be just cubicles now. For that purpose, because then there's no possibility, or like I say, if people need privacy, it's just straightforward, and nobody walking past anybody else.
Those days are gone, Keith.
Understand it. Never mind, no. There's two views on these matters. I still oppose it, but that's my personal view. I think we should keep the two systems. But, we need to make a decision on whether we go finals and cubicles or have I a proposal for all cubicles? Seconder? Right. Those in favour of all cubicles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those against? Abstentions?
I'm not sure.
You're abstaining it?
Yeah.
Right, that's carried.
I haven't thought of
I'm not
this.
sure. I'm on a second. Cubicles.
Mind the other staff there, children, or other children go to.
I know they didn't put them in here.
Yeah.
The architect didn't put them in, but I don't know.
Chair, we're still streaming. Are you do you want to end the meeting now, or? We're still live, just so you know.
Sorry, that concludes the meeting at 8:37. Thank you all very much for attending, and